Nigeria raises 1.25 billion US dollars through euro bonds as public debt rises to 39.556 trillion naira in 2021. Federal government threatens to sanction ex-depot owners for infractions. Afreximbank agrees to a $207 million facility with NEXI in support of efforts to combat coronavirus. This is Business Express on a network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. It is time to talk business, and we'll start by telling you that Nigeria has priced a $1.25 billion 7-year euro bond in the international capital market, ICM. This development makes Nigeria the first African country to access the ICM in 2022. The Debt Management Office, in a statement, said Nigeria's ability to access the ICM at this time is a confirmation of her established presence in the ICM and engagement with investors on a continuous basis. The offer was launched at an initial price start of 8.75% per annum, and on the back of strong investor demand, Nigeria was able to revise the price guidance to 8.5% per annum. The order book continued to grow, reaching a peak of $4 billion. The order book included many quality investors in the United States, Europe, and Asia. DMO noted that with this strong investor interest, the price was tightened to 8.375% per annum. The order book still remained high at $3.676 billion and retained the quality investors. Nigerian investors also participated in the offer with a total subscription of $600 million. The proceeds of the Eurobond will be used to finance critical capital projects in the budget to bridge the deficit in infrastructure and strengthen Nigeria's economic recovery. And Nigeria's total public debt as at December 31st, 2021 was 39.556 trillion naira, representing external and domestic debts of the federal government, 36 states, governments, and the Federal Capital Territory. The Director General of Nigeria's Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, while presenting the numbers, attributed the rising debt level to market fundamentals that include exchange rate and infrastructure deficiency government has been trying to meet.
So if we're spending, for instance, the figures at September last year was 71%, it's high because you have been borrowing. And like I said, debt is not a grant. There's interest. Some even have fees, like the World Bank fees, where again you have commitment fees and all of those. So as that stock is growing, debt service will grow. So the challenge is, has revenue been growing?
The federal government is threatening to sanction depot owners, cut increasing ex-depot prices. Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, who gave the warning, says some depot owners increasing ex-depot prices will be dealt with decisively.
That Nigerians are suffering these high diesel prices like everywhere else in the world. This is not peculiar to us at all. There are some depot owners that were taking advantage of the situation and increasing the ex-depot price, because I can assure you that there will be sanctions.
Motorists and residents of Abuja local government area, as well as those in the northern region of Cross River State, have continued to lament the high cost premium motor spirit, also known as fuel, as its impact is negatively affecting the socio-economic activities of the people. Oba Hysand, who went round some fuel stations and markets, reports that fuel is now sold between 240 to 250 naira for a litre, as against the 165 naira approved pump price, inversely inducing hike in prices of goods and services around this axis of the state.
This development, respondents say, is not good for business. For Friday, Ikpakpan, a commercial driver, he says the arbitrary increase is yielding negative effects on businesses and urge government to reverse the trend.
We cannot even fuel our car to our destination. Traveling down there to go and buy, the thing will be very high. And when you come, you must add something to cover up the fuel.
We are buying a black bucket of fuel, 400 naira. A liter of fuel here now we are buying 250. In the evening time, we are paying 300.
Our business is no they move again because of the fuel. Like mostly like we where they use motor, they do transportation.
Other respondents spoke in like manners about the rise in the price of goods and services. They appealed for government agencies to do the needful to reverse the ugly trend.
Onitsha here, first time we pay 6,000, now they say 10,000 with transport. Go and come, we are paying 20,000.
Because I go Makodi before, na 3,000 naira, now they pay 3,500. The gallo for fuel, oil I buy. I can't they pay 700 naira, or got the thing, it's too much. Government made a try, made a bring the price low, so that we go fit, pay the transport.
The respondent maintained that there is need for all critical stakeholders to address all issues leading to the illegal increase in pump price of fuel and curb it so as to check the hike of prices of goods and services.
The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, some days ago disclosed that electricity tariffs would rise every 6 months to adjust to foreign exchange and inflation requirements. On the grid failure this week, the Commission said it was as a result of a trip-off caused by the conductor snap, which started from the 330 kilovolt ampere from the Benin axis, and vandalism of pipelines that also supply gas to the power plants. Well, clearly, energy is a cause for concern to Nigeria and Nigerians, affecting all strata of life. Oyebode Fadipe is a power sector analyst and will be speaking to these issues. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, power. Thank God we have power here. Nigerians are paying for power. There is no subsidy for power. Yet, the power supply is almost not there. How do you align all of this?
It's a very, very difficult thing to align. I mean, admittedly, for a long time, the fight to remove or the struggle to remove the subsidy had been there. But to remove the subsidy and that there is no power makes it very, very difficult. Unfortunately, even petrol, which the people use to power their generator, is also something very difficult to come by. So we're passing through a very, very difficult time in our country because power has been shown to be something that provides a lot of comfort, drives the economy, makes people to be able to move around, do a lot of things. So when power is absent, life is seriously impeded. Comfort is impeded, business is impeded, so many things are affected.
Talking about how businesses are being affected, we've had investment in power for more than 20 years. Yet tariffs get reviewed over time. Small businesses pay for this power, yet this power is not available. How is this impacting on businesses, particularly smaller businesses?
Well, inevitably so. I mean, because when the power is not there, it means that they have to now make arrangement for alternative sources of power, which commonly said is generator. I'm not sure that our alternative sources of energy has become so widely used that cottage businesses can readily jump on that train, by which I mean that tailors, barbers, vulcanizers, those who don't need reactive power for productive purposes, they don't have it to use. What they still depend upon now is what you generally refer to as "I better pass my neighbor." I don't know how many of them can even afford that now, because that in itself has
With its health impacts, the noise
yes, the
pollution,
noise
the
pollution, the smoke, and all the
of that.
attendant challenges that are associated with it. Not to talk of the fact that there's even no fuel for you to power it.
What is happening to our alternative source of power? The solar that is readily available.
I think the truth of the matter is that we have not caught up with that bug. I mean, it's not as popular as you would expect it to be. It's only, I mean, alternative sources began to gain more traction in this country because of the serial failure that we have seen from the grid. Now and again, people have become so disappointed that the only thing that is available to them is to go alternative. The truth of the matter is that if maybe 30 years ago we had started a gradual investment in the alternative solutions, by now we would have caught up with that path of the energy mix, and then we'll be able to say, now that our grid availability is showing a lot of stress, then people can readily fall back on that one. The other part of it is that I think we have seen some bit of arrogance on our part that, okay, everybody must go on the grid. I don't think everyone has to go on the grid.
No. There should be alternatives.
Exactly, because the challenge with electricity, particularly from the grid, I mean, using thermal and hydro, is that one wire has to connect the other from the power station to get to your house. So irrespective of the distance, there must be that connection, which is something that is completely different from telco. With telco, it is waves. So, but you see, when you go alternative, I mean, line your roof with panels and all of those things, and you can have far-flung locations that are far away from the power station and all of those things, and then you can put and we are so blessed in this part of the world. Yes. I wish we can put solar energy in a bucket and export
from 11 a.m.
I'm
there
telling
is
you,
enough sun to power your panel.
Everything
down through to about 4.
So it can last you the entire night. Yes. Your refrigerator, your air conditioner,
and you get to recharge.
And you get to free up. I mean, it's just the facilities or the accessories that you need to provide. So I think very seriously that we have really lagged behind for too long in this country. And we have the manpower, which is the most critical part of any productive effort. Human capital. 200 million people. Are we saying that we can get 50 million people that can do this thing in this country? And by now, our neighboring countries that are just, I mean, we can colonize the markets in.
I don't know how readily available we are to tap into this, because the federal government has also gone into partnership with some private sector companies to ensure this solar is supplied in the hinterlands, in rural areas. I don't know how far that project has gone, but let's not talk about that for now. We just hope very soon we're going to take advantage of this and actually get to utilize it. Let's go to metering.
Okay.
Even when this power is available, a lot of Nigerians are not, when I say a lot of Nigerians, I mean a sizable number of Nigerians are not metered. Government said meter is free. Some individuals with their money, it started from, okay, 50,000 naira for a 3-phase or 2-phase. Now it has gone to about 70,000 naira. But yet these meters are not even available, even when you have the money. Why are we where we are?
Now, I mean, drawing from my experience in the power sector, I had been a major employee of the power sector up till about 8 weeks ago. Now, looking at the history of what has happened all along, the first thing that needs to be noted is that nothing is actually free. Is either that the cost component of that meter has been built into your tariff.
Which is what we know is obtainable.
Yes, so it's not really free in that strict sense of the word. I think what government has tried to do is to say, okay, provide the meters for customers, and then the cost element is embedded in the tariff. Or where customers now pay directly, then the money can be refunded through energy credit over a period of time. I think to the best of my knowledge, that's supposed to be about 36 months, which is 3 years. Now, talking about why we are where we are, it is still part of the fact that we have not, our developmental process is arithmetic, not exponential, not geometric. Okay, so it's getting too slow. I remember in those days there used to be a meter company in Zaria called MCon. I'm not aware that our metering, the metering component of the power sector today has enjoyed so much robust attention as to be able to say that we have the metering company that can meet our demands. I have had that argument or that conversation now.
But is that company still functional?
I'm not too sure MCon is there, but there have been other ones that have come up. But the question is whether they can meet the demand of the meter requirements in the power sector.
But there has also been imports of such meters.
Yes, but of course we must remember the fact that it's not as easy to import as we say it.
Yeah,
I mean, foreign exchange is there, and all of the challenges of COVID. Unfortunately, the Ukraine-Russian war has come in again.
Contract processes
and all of those bureaucratic processes that we have to follow to get all of this. So there are too many challenges that are slowing down development in this country, and we really need to rise up to those challenges.
For how long are we going to wait for this? What do you think, as an expert in this sector, what do you think is the way out of this?
I think first and foremost, sector players need to sit down. We need to go back to the drawing board. There are just no two ways about it. At the point of privatization, there were some lofty ideas that government thought of. One of them is that this sector will become another stream of income. I mean, alternative stream of income has become the buzzword today for practically everyone. So government also thought that, okay, look, because I was beginning to experience dwindling income from the mono economy that we're running and that we are still running. Therefore, I cannot continue to fund the power sector. Let the power sector also be self-funding so that I can also draw funds from that place. We have not realized that one. I will not fund the power sector again. No, we have not realized that one. Government is still funding the power sector.
So is it to say this sector has been privatized? And there's been a lot of reforms into this sector. Is it that for those handling the sector, they don't have the capital to do the required investment that is needed to actually turn around this sector? This is about the last you just added up to power theft.
Yes.
How can we handle this?
Not just that the capital is not there. The fact remains that investment in the power sector requires patient capital. What do I mean by that? It is an investment that will take a long time for you to recoup. So because one evidence that we have to show that the capital is not there is that government is still providing financial facilities.
Yes.
So the earlier we get to the point where the sector can be self-funding, the better. And one way by which the sector can be self-funding is that people stop stealing electricity. The product itself is rightly priced because recovery at this present time is such that what is even the production cost, what is paid for the product does not match the production cost. So right from the point, and that's why you will hear in the last 3 or 4 days that the next chairman, the chairman of Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, has been saying that the subsidy has been removed and that it is the responsibility of this coast to tell the Nigerian public, the consuming public, what the new cost of electricity is.
So we're likely going to keep paying for more power.
I'm afraid.
But will it be available?
Well, that's a different conversation.
Thank you so very much, Oyebode Fadipe, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
Well, let's take a trip now to the commodities market. And now, a macroeconomic analysis modeling laboratory and economic intelligence desk to enable testing of proposed new policies before implementation has been inaugurated in the Ministry of Budget and National Planning. Minister in charge of the ministry, Clem Agba, while inaugurating the facility, said results obtained from the lab will be used to support the ministry's consultations with stakeholders and institutions in the process of developing and implementing national plans.
Specifically, the models for policy making in the lab can, among others, be used for testing proposed new policies before they are implemented, examining the effects of policy changes in the country, projecting the future time path of the nation's economy, structural analysis, forecasting and policy evaluation, or simulations for alternative policy options, designing and preparing the macroeconomic framework for national development plans and annual budgets, and the MTEF.
Models also typically require some judgment in forecasts, because no model can incorporate all the realities. Models are simplifications of complex realities.
And ministries of finance across the world, because of their strong macro fiscal function, they use models a lot. And as you begin to strengthen your strategic role in this area, there's obviously a need to strengthen your macro fiscal function.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says the bank has issued gender-mandated regulations to pave way for gender diversity and inclusiveness at the top management levels in the Nigerian banking industry, just as he declared that the CBN has since surpassed the affirmative action with 32% of the total workforce being female. Emefiele disclosed this while addressing participants at a webinar hosted by the Deputy Governor in charge of the Financial System Stability Directorate, Aisha Ahmad, as part of activities to commemorate the 2022 International Women's Day at the CBN. He reiterated that the CBN had also issued a policy that requires a minimum of 30% of female representation on boards and 40% at the top management level in banking industry. Similar to the National Financial Inclusion Strategy that recommends increasing female staff of microfinance banks to 30%. And on the capital market, it's a negative close to the Nigerian equities market, being a mixed week of pluses and minuses. The NGX All-Share Index depreciated to 47,282.67, and market capitalization also went down to 25.482 trillion naira. Investors exchanged 599.5 million shares valued at 3.831 billion naira in 4,289,000 to wrap up the week. And now a look at the global market outlook is next with Neka Oko.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. European markets were muted on Friday, with investors tracking negotiations between Russia and Ukraine and digesting a big week of central bank decisions. The DAX in Germany dropped 0.56%, London's FTSE depreciated by 0.22%, while France's CAC 40 lost 0.79%. In the US, stocks fell following a three-day rally for the S&P 500 that put the equity benchmark on pace for its biggest weekly gain in more than a year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 194 points. S&P 500 depreciated by 0.61%, and Nasdaq 100 also lost 0.67%. Asian markets finished mixed in Friday trade. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index lost 0.41% to 21,412.40. The Shanghai Composite rose 1.12% to 3,251.07, while in Japan the Nikkei 225 added 0.64%. African markets also traded mixed this Friday. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 led gains with a 0.71% increase. Namibia's overall index also topped 0.41%. Tunisia's Tunidex gained 0.09%, while the other markets were negative. And that's Global Market Review. I am Neka Uku.
Well, thank you, Neka. And with that global market outlook, we end this episode of the program and, of course, the last for the week. Don't forget, you can access all previous episodes on YouTube. We value your feedback. Do join us again next week. Stay safe. I am Benny Adams.